A team stacked with stars, a fan base dreaming of a ring, and a front office that thought they pulled off the perfect move. In 2023, the Phoenix Suns thought they made a move that would bring them a championship, landing a three-time All-Star, one of the most effortless scorers in the game, believing they had built the next NBA super team. But what happened after turned that dream into a nightmare. In this video, we will break down how what looked like a championship blueprint turned into one of the biggest disasters in franchise history. So make sure to watch till the end, because this is the story of how a trade ruined an entire franchise. If you want to make sure your life doesn't get ruined like this trade, subscribe right now. All right, let's get into it.
Phoenix coming back. The push. Beal with a pull-up.
After their insane playoff failure, the Phoenix Suns were hungry for a change. Kevin Durant had just joined, Devin Booker was already in his prime, but none of this was enough. The new team owner Matt Ishbia was eager to make a mark, so he went for broke and acquired Bradley Beal. On the surface, it looked like the birth of a super team. Headlines were made, Suns acquire Beal, Big Three formed, but beneath all that excitement, there were concerns simmering. Beal came with a lot of red flags, injury history, a declining game, and most controversially, a no-trade clause attached to a staggering $251 million Supermax contract. It was a move dripping in desperation. According to an article, Phoenix didn't just make a splash, they dove into dangerous waters without a life vest. A team that was once one solid point guard or a few depth pieces away from contention decided instead to sacrifice all flexibility for one player who had not played more than 61 games in a season since 2019. Beal's arrival was supposed to take Phoenix to the next level. Instead, it exposed their structural flaws. They gave up a facilitator, a shooter, and critical draft capital for a declining star with major injury concerns. With their payroll ballooning and expectations skyrocketing, Phoenix became a high-stakes experiment in team building. The Beal trade marked a turning point. Not the leap toward the title, but the beginning of an identity crisis. This was not just a gamble. This was a gamble without an exit plan. And when the plan failed, there was no safety net. It was really reckless on the Suns' part, and it might have cost the franchise its future.
A lot, because we have a big three, but you're not going to win unless you have your...
To land the Bradley Beal deal, the Suns traded away Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, 6 second-round picks, and 4 pick swaps. On paper, that might seem reasonable. After all, Beal was a 3-time All-Star, but the problem was in the details. The real cost was not the players or the picks, it was the contract and the control that the deal stripped away from Phoenix. Beal's $251 million contract and the NBA's only no-trade clause. That gave him full veto power over any future move, essentially locking Phoenix into a partnership with no escape route. The Suns now had 3 stars earning over $100 million with virtually no cap space, no bench, and no path to add talent. Beal's output did not justify the investment. In 2 seasons, he averaged just 17.8 points, playing in just 101 out of 150 games. He missed 33% of all games due to injury and consistently failed to deliver as a consistent third option. His usage rate plummeted from 29% in Washington to just 22% in Phoenix. On top of that, his defensive effort was called out publicly. Analyst Ryan Russillo slammed him as one of the least competitive players he's ever seen. The Suns did not just trade for Beal, they traded for an unreliable body and a player lacking impact on both ends. Worse yet, the trade gutted Phoenix of all its limited assets. Without draft picks or cap space, there was no plan B. This was a handcuffing decision that gave Phoenix no way to adjust if things went south. And, well, things did go south. From day one itself, the Beal experiment looked shaky. Injuries limited him to just 53 games in the season, and even when healthy, he struggled to find rhythm alongside Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. The Suns' offense, which should have been unstoppable on paper, often devolved into chaotic, isolation-heavy play.
Towns the cut, Conley goes to the other side, Reed the ball fake, Reed, he went into the windup and he's fouled.
Beal was extremely inconsistent, there was no system, and the Big Three rarely shared the floor long enough to develop chemistry. Beal's usage dropped, but so did his effectiveness. He was being paid like a franchise cornerstone, but performing like a replaceable third option. Defensively, things were worse. Beal offered little resistance on the perimeter and often appeared disengaged. The Suns' lack of depth and identity became glaring in the postseason. Facing the Timberwolves in the first round, Phoenix was swept. It was not just a loss, it was an embarrassment. They were exposed as a team without structure, leadership, or direction. What was billed as a super team instead resembled pickup ball at a local gym. The team's ceiling was not a championship glory, it was a first-round mediocrity. The collapse did not just end a season, it put the entire franchise in chains. With over $110 million still owed and a no-trade clause shielding him, the Suns are stuck unless Beal agrees to a buyout. Reports indicate the team wants him to surrender $13.9 million to facilitate a stretch provision that would allow them to stretch Beal's contract to 5 years of pay while he can leave the team after just 2 years, but even then, Phoenix would still be paying Beal nearly $100 million over the next 5 years. Now that Kevin Durant is leaving, Devin Booker remains left to carry a flawed roster on his back. The team has no draft capital to trade, no cap space to sign players, and almost zero flexibility. Their roster is clogged with overlapping shooting guards and centers. There is the primary big, Mark Williams, and supporting guards like Jalen Green and Grayson Allen, but they don't move the needle. Phoenix went all in, and now they're in the middle of a painful rebuild without the tools to rebuild effectively. Every day Beal remains on the roster is a reminder of the trade that cost them their future. Even fan sentiment is at an all-time low. Unless a miracle trade or a buyout occurs, the Suns face years of mediocrity. They have mortgaged everything for Beal.
Beal with a step-back three. Splash down. Boy, what
And now the team is trying to survive its own mistakes. In a world where super teams are built overnight and chemistry is treated like an afterthought, Phoenix decided to go all in on vibes and vibes alone. Well, the vibes were way off, way too off. They chased stars like it was NBA 2K, they thought it would guarantee a championship, but it was disaster wrapped in a luxury tax and injury reports. But if we look carefully, the Suns had it brewing. Durant had just arrived and Booker was balling out. They pushed the eventual champs to 6 games. All they had to do was patch the holes, maybe grab a rim protector, bolster the bench, sprinkle some defense. But instead of that, they blew up the entire support system for another high-usage card. Now, fast forward to today, they no longer have Durant, and Beal is still cashing checks. And as for the Suns, they're sitting outside the play-in with the most expensive payroll in NBA history and absolutely nothing to show for it. But this is not just about Beal. It's about team-building philosophy. The Suns became a textbook case of how not to construct a contender. Now, their future depends on undoing a mistake that should have never happened. But time is ticking, and the window is closing fast. The lesson is clear. Chasing hype without substance can wreck a franchise. The Suns sacrificed depth, leadership, and flexibility for a flashy headline. They bet everything on a shortcut and got burned. While teams like the Thunder and Celtics thrived by doing the opposite, focusing on development, roster depth, and player system. Phoenix built a house of cards, no coach, no bench, and 3 stars who never truly fit. It was a masterclass in mismanagement, and with no draft assets or cap room, even the hope of a soft rebuild seems out of reach. Now, not only are the Suns being haunted by the Beal contract, but even Booker's prime is being wasted, and fans are stuck watching a broken product. Unless the Suns can pull off a miracle, this trade might be the downfall of the Suns organization. So what do you think? Was this the worst trade in recent NBA history? Worse than the Paul George deal? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe for more NBA stories every week.